My name is Rosani Jimenez. I'm a junior psychology major.
I'm Emily Heald, a senior English major with a minor in educational studies.
I'm Christian Henderson, senior finance major.
Well, yeah, like when you don't fit that like Siena student box, like professors don't really know what to do with you. I had this one professor in a business class because I took a business class for whatever reason, I don't know. But I had this professor and like he was Italian and he saw my skin color and he like I guess he knew that I wasn't like white, but he saw my skin color and like he made a comment. He was like, "Oh, Rosani, my fellow Italian, like what do you think about Italian food, blah blah." And I was like, "I'm not Italian." He was like, "Oh, are you sure?" Like, no. I've been confused my whole life. I'm not Hispanic, I'm Italian. Thank you for telling me. Like, thank you so much for like opening up my eyes. Like I don't know what to say. Like, what do you mean am I sure? Like, yes, I'm sure I'm not Italian. Sorry. When he finally realized that I wasn't Italian, that I was Hispanic, it was like on a separate, like, it was like 2-3 weeks later. He was talking about hot sauce. And he looks at me, he goes, "So, Rosani, how about that hot sauce? You know, hot sauce?" And I was like, what? Like, just because I'm Hispanic doesn't mean I eat hot sauce. Like,
Exactly.
how do you, like, I don't know, at that point, like, I don't even know how to, like, tell him, like, "Oh, you're making me uncomfortable, like, can you, like, stop, like, singling me out?" Because he would do that, like, with most people, like, he would just single them out, but, like, when it came to me, it wasn't, like, it was different. It wasn't like he was singling me out as, like, a student, it was more like a race, or, like, trying to, like, give me, like, an identity for, like, him to, like, feel better about it, like.
For my history class, we were talking about blacks and why is Trump comments saying that stop and frisk was okay, and then there's this one white student that raised his hand and said, "Well, I do agree with the reason that there needs to be stop and frisk in those black neighborhoods because it's obvious that they're just prone to more crime. It's clear." And then, like me being one or two black people in the class and only black man, I had to raise my hand and really like kind of like set the tone and say that at the end of the day, there is more crime, but you can't just believe in raw stats as is because there's a reason why there is crime behind it because these neighborhoods and these environments were neglected for like generation in a long time, and for white students to not realize that and to just say, you know what, it is what it is now, and that's something that's always been like it's no one's fault except their own because they're the ones in the neighborhood doing the crime, and you really can't put all the blame just on the current population because it's a lot of history that put that community together, and also how one company's stock price will be affected if this is after Trump got elected, will be affected after Trump's policy goes into place and if he builds the wall. And like he kind of said it in a joking manner, but he also kind of said it because it's actually a true case. If that happens for companies, stock price. And then this one student raised his hand and said, "Yeah, Trump, build that wall," and clapped. And then I looked at him and I was like, "Are you serious right now?" He said, "Yeah, because we need it to protect ourselves." I was like,
Yeah, I bet the professor didn't say anything.
no, it's like no one reacted except for me. No one batted an eye. He clapped. He said, and he screamed. He said, "Yeah, Trump." Clapped that loud. And no one batted an eye except for me.
That's crazy. Wow. This one time I was in education class, and we were doing an activity where we were talking about like gender roles in the household, and our professor told us that we'd have to go into different corners of the classroom about who did what in our home, whether it was our mom, our dad, both, or neither. And so I don't live with my mom or dad, obviously, like you guys know, I live with my gram. And so he like started saying all these things like does the dishes, right? And so like I just went to the neither corner and I sat there the whole time. And every time we went around, he wanted somebody to share from each corner, and I kept being the neither person in the corner. And every time he asked me, I had the same answer, like I live with my gram, like my mom or dad didn't do it. And it just made me feel like there's like this certain perception like of what Siena students are supposed to be, like they fit in this box, and this is what they look like, this is what they do, and this is what their lives are like. And so it's just really frustrating, and like I left like almost crying because I was just like, I feel like I don't like belong in this space, like this is really annoying. And like my gram didn't understand what I was trying to say either, so it was just really frustrating.
I feel like that most professors' approach to like the Siena student body, like they don't. When you come into the school like me, I came in and I look a certain way, but like I don't fit that role of like what I should be or whatever. And once you don't fit the role that they understand is like the student like standard, then they don't know what to do with you. It's like their brain like doesn't know how to like change like a setting. Like they don't know like, oh, like, you're white, you look white, like, shouldn't you be acting a certain way? I'm like, well, I'm an immigrant, I'm Hispanic, and yeah, I'm an ESL student. So, like, I don't fit any of the roles that you have for, like, a Siena student. So, like, what do I do now? How do you help me now? Like, they don't understand how to go from regular student body to, like, diverse student body.
I feel like a lot of times students say like really stupid things that like rub people the wrong way, but then like professors don't really like take the next step to like build from that conversation.
Exactly.
I think that's one of the biggest issues because, like, it doesn't matter what I say to the student as an administrator. Like, yeah, it's gonna matter a little bit because I'm their peer and, like, we're at, like, kind of, like, the same level.
Yeah.
But, like, coming from, like, a higher, like, point of view, a higher authority
Mhm.
almost, like, what the professor has to say is gonna matter more than what I have to say to the student. Like, he's gonna see me as his equal. He's gonna be like, all right, you think that, I think this. Your point is invalid.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, like, what would it, like, to him it didn't matter what you said. He obviously, like, was like, yeah, we need it. Like, it's
Mhm.
necessary. No, it's really not, but.
But also like when professors don't say things, and that just sets a precedent that like I can say what I want in this classroom, and, like this is okay.
Any classroom.
And so then it infiltrates out into like our community too.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, like I get it, that's the business world, but that really shouldn't be what you're teaching students about the business world. Like they'll learn that on their own. They're gonna come across that no matter what. But like you should teach them to be inclusive and be like open minded instead of being like, oh, excuse me, ladies, but that's some hot shit. Like that's not what you should say in the classroom.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I feel like my diversity core also does a good job addressing diversity, but I'm an English major, and so there's a lot of opportunities to kind of dive into that. But I have heard from a lot of my business friends that like there isn't a lot of emphasis on that. And my thing is like if we have like these doors values like diversity, optimism, respect, and service, why do we only have this one class that is supposed to address diversity, and why isn't it doing it as well as it should? Like it's supposed to be an everyday thing, and so I think there's a lot of emphasis on like the respect and service, but like how can we like promote respect and service if we're not appreciating diversity on our campus every day?
I feel like a lot of the responsibility of teaching diversity has fallen on like students. Like this semester and last semester through Damietta we did a lot of workshops for like diversity training. We did the like what would you do workshop and then the game of enlightenment this semester. And most of the classes that I've had to go into lately have been business classrooms. And like I get it, like it's a fun activity, it's a fun way for like students to learn about diversity, but it shouldn't fall on like just Damietta Center to teach them about diversity. Like this should be included throughout your curriculum, not just one day out of the entire semester where the whole class comes and does a workshop and like that's it, we fulfilled it, like it's over.
I feel like my diversity core also does a good job addressing diversity, but I'm an English major, and so there's a lot of opportunities to kind of dive into that. But I have heard from a lot of my business friends that like there isn't a lot of emphasis on that. And my thing is like if we have like these doors values like diversity, optimism, respect, and service, why do we only have this one class that is supposed to address diversity, and why isn't it doing it as well as it should? Like it's supposed to be an everyday thing, and so I think there's a lot of emphasis on like the respect and service, but like how can we like promote respect and service if we're not appreciating diversity on our campus every day?
All right, so I definitely think that the business department needs some diversity guidance because number one for me, I have not had a black professor, and the only professors of color that I've had were two Asian professors, and within the Management 211, which fulfills a core Franciscan for diversity, we have not really touched, and I took it three years ago, and we didn't really touch on diversity in general. I think that of all the diversity training that we got or exposure, it was probably 2 questions on online assignment that said something along the lines of like diversity in the workplace and not affirmative action, but just trying to get diverse members on a team. And that was really it. Like there was nothing that the professor actually actively taught us or actively showed us. It was nothing. And me looking back on it, I thought that this semester I needed to enroll in a core Franciscan for diversity because I didn't think that class
Fulfilled it.
Yeah, I didn't. So when I look back on it, when I saw CFD check, I thought, from what? Like, how did I get this check? And I still remember me not learning anything from it. And it was very, very disappointing for me to be the only black person in that class and for diversity to just be brushed over like that. Like, it felt like I was brushed over.
Yeah. I think that's how most students feel in those diversity cores, and I feel like that's where the big push from the student body has come to, like, changed like how like, the cores are like taught or like looked at, because there was really a lack of like diversity in the diversity core. I actually took my diversity core last semester, and they did a really good job at like covering diversity, but it was diversity. It wasn't a business class; it was a social work class. So it was like it was really diverse. Like we really went into detail about like diverse cultures, diverse backgrounds, diverse like neighborhoods, like all that stuff, because it dealt with death. But like in business classrooms, there isn't a lot of that, because they're really like brushed over. Like, this is the concept, this is what you need to learn, and that's it. We had I had a business class last semester, and he wasn't really good at like focusing in on diversity. Like he like kind of like didn't address it at all. But it was really the lack of like, how do I say it? He wasn't really good at making students feel comfortable. He made some comments, and like I know like the business world is gonna be like cutthroat, and like no one's really gonna care about, oh, I hurt your feelings, but like they kind of should. Like that's how the world is moving now. Like he would make comments like, oh, that's some hot shit, like, oh, this, that, and the other, and I'm like, okay, like I get it, that's the business world, but that really shouldn't be what you're teaching students about the business world. Like they'll learn that on their own. They're gonna come across that no matter what, but like you should teach them to be inclusive and be like open-minded, instead of being like, oh, excuse me, ladies, but that's some hot shit. Like that's not what you should say in the classroom. But I feel like a lot of the responsibility of teaching diversity has fallen on like students. Like this semester and last semester through Damietta, we did a lot of workshops for like diversity training. We did the like what would you do workshop, and then the game of enlightenment this semester. And most of the classes that I've had to go into lately have been business classrooms. And like, I get it, like it's a fun activity, it's a fun way for like students to learn about diversity, but it shouldn't fall on like just Damietta Center to teach them about diversity. Like this should be included throughout your curriculum, not just one day out of the entire semester where the whole class comes and does a workshop and like that's it, we fulfilled it, like it's over.
Then it really clicked for me that there were like serious problems here at Siena was one night when Rashonda and I were coming back from campus. You know, I have to scan in like with public safety, so I keep my SAINT card in like the back of my phone case, like behind my case. You can't even see it. And so I like pulled up and I was driving and I handed him my phone case, and he scanned my phone case. He said, "Hi, how are you?" I handed him Rashonda's swipe. He looked at it, looked at her, looked at the swipe, scanned it, looked at her. It was like investigating her swipe. And I was like so confused. I was like, what's going on? And we talked about it a little bit afterward, and I was like, that was like mind-boggling for me. But,
Way too much.
yeah.
And then I kind of realized that there was a problem at Siena's campus. Just, well, number one, when I first came here, I think that my year of like the 3 years when above me when I was a freshman, and 3 years below me now as a senior, that's like what, 7 years. Like we had the least black people, I think, or at least people of color in general. I think of all those seminaries I've ever seen. So when I first came here, it took me a month and a half to realize that there were other people of color in my year. It literally took me, I remember like mid-October, and I was like, oh shoot, I found you. Like, where have you been? And then I just like going through like all 3 years, people always think I'm on a basketball team. And it just goes to show you how few black men are on campus. Just because the fact that whenever I'm at a townhouse party, like strangers are drunk, dap me up and say, "Oh, great game." I remember, I think it was like the CBI game, my freshman or something.
Freshman.
Yeah, like I went to the townhouses one after that, and then I was in a house, and then like this group of guys like dapped me up and said, "Great game tonight, you did great." And then I looked at them and I was like, the fact that you told me that I did great.
You did great. It makes you think that I was on
that
court.
you saw me
on the court.
You saw my face on the court, and it really just goes to show you that if black people and black men in particular are not in HEOP, or no, if they're here, then they're either in HEOP or on the ball team
or some type of sports.
Or some type of sports kid. Like we just can't go here.
Just to go ahead and just make
Like
decisions.
we can't. Yeah, I just get so confused because it's like since there's so few of us, it's like we're in attraction or in exhibit,
That's-
literally.
That's like the one thing that's always bothered me. Like whenever you do go to townhouses and like there's houses like there's always like the basketball house, the black house, like those kind of houses, and like they do happen to throw parties. They're the first house that's targeted. They're the first house that gets shut down for noise complaints,
Oh,
for
yeah.
loudness, for people standing outside, and like there's plenty of other houses that have more noise, more people, more things happening that don't get like shut down. Like one of the things that really, really bothered me was last semester in the fall. It was Tuesday. It was the night of the election. I was walking to my friend's house because she was making dinner so that we could watch like the election, like the results and stuff. And I'm walking to the house, and it was in McCluskey, so there's like 3-4 houses before hers and one house after her that were throwing Trump parties. It was a Tuesday night. They were raging. They had music like blasting out the windows. They were standing outside on their stoop drinking, like being loud, Trump hats, Trump masks, like the whole nine. And I'm sitting here like, this is a Tuesday. Why is public safety like not doing anything? Like Tuesdays are supposed to be quiet hours, like early. So like, why is it that it's okay for them to party and like do all these things on a Tuesday, and it's not even remotely okay for us to do that on a Friday, Saturday night?
Saturday night. Yeah, knocks at the door.
Like I guess we're too loud for them. I think as a person of like lighter skin, like yeah, I am Hispanic, I am Dominican, like I should be experiencing more things like that on campus, but I feel like because I have lighter skin, I kind of like pass, like they just like don't notice me, it misses me kind of thing. But the only time we really like experience that kind of stuff is when you're coming to like Black and Latino student union meetings, or like when you're at Club Fair. Like when you're at Club Fair, you have all these pictures of like all these events that you put on, like how proud we all are of like all these things that we accomplished. And people just kind of like walk by and look at us and they're like, oh, like we're not black, we don't belong there. And they kind of just keep walking. And like, I don't understand why people on campus think that like, just because you don't fit the criteria that's being like shown, like you don't belong in a certain place. Like obviously I don't fit the criteria at Siena. I don't think like any of us fit the criteria of like what a Siena student looks like. But we're here nonetheless, and like we find our little niche within like the community. So like, I don't understand why it can't be the reverse for like other students, like why they can't find their little niche within us. Like we are definitely like super accepting to like all the students that are like around us. So like I don't understand why we make people uncomfortable by like, oh like we don't look like them, so like we can hang out with them. We do events, and like one of the events that we did last semester was the All Black Party. All Black Party is an all black attire party. People see the flyer, people see the like event postings, they're like, oh, all black, as in like only black people. Like, it's 2017. What in the world? Why do you think that like we're gonna put on a party for only black people? Like
the attire says all black, so.
like, is that the kind of stuff that goes on like somewhere else? Do people do that regularly? Like only white people, only black people? No, that doesn't happen. I mean, it might, but it doesn't happen here.
Yeah.
So like, why would you think that that's the case here? Like,
one of my overall experiences on Siena where I felt racially profiled is when I was by Padua and I was sitting in the passenger seat, and I was with somebody who graduated from here. It was my sophomore year, and he went inside Padua, and the public safety officer, she's white, she's a woman, she still works here, and she was walking behind the car, and I'm sitting in the passenger, and I see her through the mirror, and she's walking slow, and she's looking into the car, and she walks up to the car, and the passenger, and she looks into the passenger, and I look at her, and I'm like, how you doing? And I roll down the window, and she was like, hi, how you doing? I was asking, do you go here? I'm looking at her like, do I go here? But my response now would have been different from what it was then. I was like, yeah, I do go here. I have ID, and this, that, and third, and that was it for that one. And not only have I dealt with situations on Siena, I've dealt with them off Siena. For example, I was riding a bike from Newhall to the gas station, which is up the road, to Mobile, and when I was riding back on the side, on the left-hand side, and the car was coming this way, and 4 white guys was in the car, and one of them threw a milkshake out the window, and it just missed me, so just like that. And I looked back, and I was still riding, And I just kept going because there was nothing I could really do. Like me yelling at the top of my lungs or me thinking I was going to chase your car with a bike was unrational. So, yeah, that was pretty, yeah.